Welcome to Delhi's reborn Rajpath. India discards another British legacy. A canvas for new national pride. A facelift that fits our new India. Kingsway to Kartavya Path. And the countdown has begun from Kingsway to Kartavya Path. From Rajpath to Kartavya Path. Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast. I'm Gaurav Sawant. Step by step, brick by brick, the remnants of the Raj, are they being removed? Remember, from the St. George's Cross, from the flag of the Indian Navy, now rechristening Rajpath or Kingsway to the Kartavya Path. Of course, there's also politics on the subject. But then, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's big decision and of course the grand unveiling. A 28 feet tall statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose also coming up at the central Vista under that canopy at India Gate. I'm Gaurav Sawant. We will get you all details, but first as always, the headlines at 5 Live. India Today campaign impact in Bengaluru. Bulldozers raise illegal encroachment responsible for floods in the city. Politics erupts after 1993 Mumbai blast convict. Yaqub Memon's grave is beautified. BJP slams former Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray over marble and granite and lights on Yaqub's grave. National Conference heavyweight and Farooq Abdullah's brother Mustafa Kamal defends the glorification of a convicted terrorist. Yaqub Memon says the 1993 Mumbai blast convict died for a cause.
कोई आदमी किसी के लिए जान दे, सबसे कीमती चीज़ जो है वो जान है, और जो जान का नजराना देता है किसी मकसद के लिए, चाहे उसको मकसद सही हो और गलत हो, मैं उसकी इज्जत करता हूँ.
Shocker from Dumka MLA. Chief Minister Hemant Soren's brother Basant Soren mocks the killing of girls, says he was in Delhi during the horror to buy underwear.
गए थे एक्चुअली. हम पिछले ये भी बताए थे कि एक्चुअली मेरे अंडरगारमेंट्स कम हो गए थे, तो अंडरगारमेंट्स खरीदने में दिल्ली चला गया.
Day 2 of Congress Party's Bharat Jodo Yatra kicks off. Rahul Gandhi leads the rally on streets of Kanyakumari, alleges blatant misuse of central agencies to thwart the opposition. And the countdown has begun. 1 hour, 56 minutes left for Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate or to dedicate to the nation the new Central Vista. You'll see the granite walkways here. The Central Vista, the central venue, those 74 historic light poles, 900 new light poles. Now there would be also dedicated vending plazas here. There is new parking space for over 1,000 cars. Incidentally, in the lake here, there are two canals. There would be boating that would be permitted right here. you're looking at what the new Central Vista. This is the new look of the Central Vista that many at one point of time, 2 years ago, remember when the world was grappling with COVID, people said, why is it that money is being spent on this? Now you look at the new, all new Central Vista. You'd recall Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said that anything to do with the Raj. This was when he was addressing the nation from the ramparts of the Red Fort. He said relics of the Raj need to go. This is the new look, the granite walkways. 74 historic light poles. And this is the area, it's 3.2 kilometers long from what was earlier the Viceroy's residence or the Rashtrapati Bhavan post-independence to Vijay Chowk, down what was known as Kingsway, then Rajpath, and now Kartavya Path. This is the new look. Remember, it was the British that actually wanted to shift their capital from Calcutta to Delhi in 1911. And this was the time that Edwin Lutyens and Herbert Baker, they were tasked to build a new capital, New Delhi. They chose this area, the Raisina Hill. On top of Raisina Hill was the Viceroy's residence, what became the Rashtrapati Bhavan. On either side were the Imperial Secretariat. That became the North Block and the South Block. Then Vijay Chowk. Now you're looking at the Rajpath. This is the Rajpath, now the Kartavya Path. This is where you see the display of India's military might and rich cultural heritage on the 26th of January. To mark India becoming a republic on the 26th of January 1950. So today, the road that you see, it's being relayed. This is the road that's actually seen history from, of course, now let me take you to India Gate, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, his Azad Hind Fauj. 65 metric tons is the weight of the statue. 28 feet tall is the statue. 26,000 man-hours of artistic endeavor for the construction of a granite statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose.
सर, हाउ आर यू फीलिंग टुडे? कैसा लग रहा है आज आपको?
अच्छा लग रहा है, बहुत अच्छा, बहुत गर्व महसूस हो रहा है कि हम लोग ऐतिहासिक इस जगह पे खड़े हैं और इतना निर्माण करवाए हैं इसमें।
आपके कितने कारीगरों ने, कितने वर्कर्स ने काम किया?
400 थे वर्कर और इधर तो 2,500-3 हज़ार आदमी काम करते और भी पार्टी होंगे थे।
24 आवर्स काम हुआ है, 24 आवर्स वर्क वाज गोइंग ऑन हियर।
We are feeling proud because we work here and every person is looking what's going on here and what type of work done by our team, and I told they can come and can see how we can work here.
There was no off during COVID. COVID में भी काम किया है पूरा?
काम पूरा चलता रहा, कोई छुट्टी नहीं, कोविड हो कुछ भी हो सब में काम चलता रहा।
ऐसा क्यों हुआ कि नो छुट्टी, ओनली वर्क?
ये था, उमंग था कि मोदी जी का साइड है, कोई सरकार की तरफ से सहयोग मिला, राशन खाना पीना मिला, 3 टाइम खाना कंपनी दे रहा था, कंपनी 3 फ्री खाना।
चैलेंजेस क्या क्या है? व्हाट वर द चैलेंजेस? क्या चुनौती?
चैलेंजेस था, उसको हम लोग स्वीकार कर लिया और काम करके पूरा कर दिए, कंप्लीट कर दिए। चैलेंजेस कोई भी काम के लिए चैलेंजेस होता है, लेकिन हम लोग उस स्वीकार किए और कामयाबी तक पहुंचा दिए उसको।
Their work, their effort, their hard work today for the Central Vista Avenue project, and these all are the part of that historical movement. So let's ask them at last that how was the Josh for you all today?
भारत माता की जय, भारत माता की जय, भारत माता की जय, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम।
हमारे साथ वो मूर्तिकार हैं नरेश जी कुमावत, जिन्होंने सुभाष चंद्र बोस की ये ऐतिहासिक प्रतिमा गढ़ी है अपनी पूरी टीम के साथ मिलके। कितना चुनौती भरा रहा ये सफ़र, हम नरेश जी से बात करते हैं। आज का दिन बहुत बड़ा है जीवन में।
मैं सौभाग्यशाली हूँ कि इस मूर्ति का मॉडल बनाने का अवसर मुझे मिला। पिछले 8-10 महीने से हम इसके ऊपर कार्यरत थे। काफ़ी सारे मॉडल हमने बनाए और काफ़ी सारे मॉडल बना करके उनमें से हमारे मॉडल का जो चयन हुआ, उस मॉडल के आधार पर स्कल्पचर आर्टिस्टों ने मिल करके, कलाकारों ने मिल करके इस मूर्ति की गढ़ाई की और आज ये सपना साकार होने जा रहा है। भाग्यशाली हूँ इस ऐतिहासिक पल का हिस्सा बनने के लिए।
नेताजी की प्रतिमा, नेताजी के कृतित्व और व्यक्तित्व से तो नई पीढ़ी और सारे लोग परिचित हैं। नेताजी को देखने वाले, जिन्होंने उनको देखा है, ऐसे कुछ गिने चुने लोग ही रह गए। तो उनकी शक्ल से हूबहू मैच करे ये मूर्ति, उसके लिए कितनी चुनौती रही, कितने लोगों से मिले, कितना रिसर्च किया?
काफ़ी सारी फोटोग्राफ्स हमें मिले, काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हमें एनजीएमए से मिली। उसके साथ ही नेताजी के जो भतीजे और उनके परिवार वाले हैं वो मेरे स्टूडियो पर काफ़ी बार आए और उनकी मदद से, उनकी सहायता से, ब्रिगेडियर चिकारा जैसे लोगों की सहायता से हमने इस मूर्ति को उकेरा।
इसमें किस मटेरियल की है, कितनी वजनी है, कितनी लागत आई है, ये सब कुछ?
मूर्ति ग्रेनाइट से बनी है। मेरा काम क्ले मॉडलिंग का था, मैंने क्ले मॉडलिंग किया और ग्रेनाइट की कार्विंग दूसरे कारीगरों ने की।
कितने लोगों ने मिलकर, विशेषज्ञों ने इस मूर्ति को अलग अलग तरह से सजाया?
काफ़ी सारे लोग इन्वॉल्व थे, एनजीएमए के अद्वैत गणनायक साहब से लेकर के, और काफ़ी कारीगर और काफ़ी लोगों ने मिलकर के इस काम।
कितना समय लगा इसे करने में?
लगभग पिछले 4-5 महीने से हम इसी काम में लगे थे।
And these are the men and women who were engaged in the task of rebuilding this part of the national capital. They worked relentlessly. They worked through the pandemic, and it was tough work. We saw them in action during the pandemic. Despite the criticism, they were at it and relentless. Now, the countdown has begun. 1 hour, 49 minutes and 23 seconds to go for Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate the new Central Vista project. Now, this huge statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, it comes up under the canopy. It's about 28 feet tall. Now, many argued, should Netaji's statue be there? There were arguments for and against, or should it be the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi? Remember, King George V, till 1968, King George V, his statue was under the canopy at the Central Vista, at that sea hexagon. But then finally a decision was taken. We'll talk more about that. The architects of free India, the architects of India's independence movement. Is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose finally getting his due? We bring you this report.
You're in for a treat on a dreamlike flight to India's new seat of power. Sprawling landscapes, lush green lawns, red granite walkways, blue water canals, wide underpasses, exhibition panels, upgraded lighting. A grand project of the Modi government, a key part of the new Central Vista is set for a grand opening. Kartavya Path, formerly Rajpath, the stretch for the annual Republic Day parade, is set for inauguration by the Prime Minister at 7 p.m. on Thursday. Prime Minister Modi will also unveil a 28-foot granite statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Kartavya Path will be open till 11 p.m. for now. Starting Friday, DMCRC buses will run pick-up and drop facilities for 15 days as a pilot project.
अब देश बड़े संकल्प लेकर के ही चलेगा। किसी भी कोने में हमारे मन के भीतर, हमारे आदतों के भीतर गुलामी का एक भी अंश अगर भी अभी भी है तो उसको किसी भी हालत में बचने नहीं देना।
In line with the resolve, the brand new site takes the legacy of the British Raj off its pedestal for good. And so will the new look Central Vista in its entirety. The project houses India's new triangular-shaped parliament sitting next to its predecessor. Completed in 1927, the heritage building was designed by British architects Sir Edwin Lutyens and Herbert Baker, with horseshoe-shaped Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. The new parliament will also have a large constitutional hall and a much larger seating capacity for both houses. welcome to New India, with the idea of Indianness by Indians taking a giant leap forward. Bureau Report, India Today.
So as our report said, welcome to New India. What does this New India look like? Now, in this New India, you will see Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose get a lot of prominence. He will get his due. There's a new parliament building that's coming up. It's a triangular shaped parliament building, much larger than the one that was designed and built by Lutyens and Baker in 1927. Remember, they started in 1911. That's the time that the Raj shifted from Calcutta to Delhi. But then that parliament building, it was decided in 2012 that that circular parliament building was old. It was almost coming apart. Since post-delimitation, there will be many more seats. The way MPs were sitting, it was very difficult for them. You wanted a new paperless office. You wanted ministers to have their offices. You wanted bigger conference halls. And that is why this new parliament building is coming up. So this will have a new parliament building. It will also have a massive common central secretariat. Again, extremely crucial. The Imperial Secretariat, of course, was the North Block and the South Block, which now, of course, houses. North Block has the Finance Ministry, the Home Ministry and the Ministry of Personnel. The South Block has the Prime Minister's Office, the External Affairs Ministry, and, of course, the Ministry of Defense. Now, let's now move beyond this 3.2 kilometer long road. Kingsway became Rajpath in 1961, becomes Kartavya Path in 2022. That's also been revamped. You also have, you'd recall, India became a republic on the 26th of January 1950. Republic Day parades, India's military might and rich cultural heritage on display for India and the world. It marches past Rajpath, now Kartavya Path. This is phase 1. Phase 2 of the project will also have a new residence for the Prime Minister and the Vice President's enclave. Now, security is one reason. There are, of course, several other reasons that we will talk about when we talk about this revamp. But for the moment, I want to focus on phase 1, the inauguration in about an hour and a half from now. I want to quickly cut across to India Today's Aishwarya Paliwal joining us with the latest on this. Aishwarya, you're on ground. You and I, we were reporting from ground zero through the pandemic when we saw this development take place. What's the buzz on ground? What's the excitement all about?
Well, Gaurav, it is a very, very proud moment, and why should it not be? We are seeing how the country is now moving away from the colonial hangover. You know, I'll start by showing you the visuals. I'll ask Ajay to zoom in and to show you the 28 feet long statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose under the canopy. Let me tell you some very interesting facts. Gaurav, you know, this statue has been made out of a single marble. The marble initially was weighing roughly 250 tons. They carved it, and now this statue that you see behind me under the canopy is weighing 70 tons. The beauty of it, Gaurav, is it's just enthralling. You know, we'll now show you the visuals of the beautiful fountain that you see. There are a lot of water bodies which have been built here. This actually shows the Indian cultures, the sprawling lawns that you see, Gaurav. All of them are telling a story, as you were talking, Gaurav, of New India. You know, you see the fountain behind me. You are seeing how many water bodies have been made, pristine water. And it's not just for today. The idea is to make sure that anyone who comes, see, from tomorrow this will be open for the people to come. They will have to make sure they keep it clean. Prime Minister has been time and again talking about the fact that we need to be proud of our culture, and by unveiling this Central Vista, the first phase of Central Vista, people will be proud of our rich heritage and also, you know, what determination of people can do. This is what the unveiling of the statue and the beautification of the area in and around India Gate is showing at the moment. Gaurav.
Oh, this is absolutely delightful. Now, what we were also reporting, and you stay with me for a moment, Aishwarya, I want to also bring into this conversation India Today's Polami Saha. And Polami, through the pandemic, on ground zero, we were reporting not just the work that was happening, but also the politics around it. Mahal ban raha hai. Bhavya Mahal, a palace is being built. a section of political leadership, media, and a section of the foreign media went with this flawed narrative. Is that narrative actually coming apart brick by brick with the truth emerging?
Well, Gaurav, I'll ask my camera person Anil to, of course, stay with the pictures right now because we're inside the Rajpath, erstwhile Rajpath, which is now Kartavya Path, where now, of course, as you can see, people have started arriving and the guests have started arriving for the evening program, for the Prime Minister to arrive over here. And yes, as you speak to the people on the ground over here, they're, of course, saying that they're quite impressed with the beautification program over here. It looks much, much better. It looks much cleaner. The amenities that have been provided over here in terms of, drinking water facilities, in terms of public toilets, in terms of course, the canal bridges which have been, of course, built as well, the benches which have been put over here. Anil, if you can pan to your left right now, those are the granite benches that have been, of course, built over here. And you can look at the entire area, Gaurav, at the moment, the landscaping which has been done as well in order to, of course, showcase this as a much more different sort of an area. Remember that this is virtually the ceremonial axis of New Delhi as it was built by Edward Lutyens and, of course, Herbert as well. And this is what was built, and eventually, of course, this was called first Kingsway. It was called because of King George V, and then, of course, eventually post-independence, it was renamed Rajpath. But today, of course, as the Prime Minister will, of course, throw this open to the people, the refurbished, the revamped, the new look of Kartavya Path, he, of course, has called this, and he and the Prime Minister's office is saying while Rajpath signified power, it signified, a certain sense of power. What Kartavya Path now signifies is public ownership and empowerment. This is for the people of India. They can claim that this is a space that they built with their own hands, and the effort of the Indian artisans, the man hours that have gone in over here really shows, Gaurav, as we look around over here. And of course, that magnificent statue, that monolith, granite statue
of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Absolutely, that was the point I was coming to. And such a privilege to welcome on this broadcast Anita Bose, daughter of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, who joins us from Germany. Ma'am, Jai Hind, welcome on India Today.
Jai Hind to you.
Welcome on India Today. Ma'am, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, his statue at India Gate, we are filled with pride. You're his daughter. What goes through your heart?
Well, this is a very important location and a very historic location. So the fact that Netaji's statue is being put up at this place is a great honor to him, of course. And I think also very gratifying to replace with some delay his erstwhile enemy, King George V. So I think there is a great meaning in that to accord Netaji that respect, and he will be sort of, as a statue, will be able to watch the important part of the capital of free India.
When we read about Netaji in books, the struggle for our independence, the armed struggle for our independence, the talk about defeating the British by use of force, is that finally being recognized in your view, ma'am?
It is being recognized in a very formal and official way, but I think Netaji was in the heart of so many of his countrymen and countrywomen. I never failed to be impressed and touched by the fact that even today so many men and women who have never seen him, have never met him, never been exposed to his magnetism, are still touched by him. And I think that we should also not forget. But of course, this statue will have a specific symbolic meaning also. And I would also, in that connection, want to mention that it is also a credit and a recognition to the Indian National Army, of course. Unfortunately, too few of the veterans are still alive.
So true, so true. And such a shame that we couldn't recognize and honor those braves the way we should have when a lot of them were still alive post 1947. But ma'am, Netaji's contribution, Netaji being at under the canopy where King George stood, his statue stood till 1968. Now, Netaji's guidance to New India. When we have the next Republic Day parade in 2023, Netaji's proud statue would be there. So our military might, our rich cultural heritage, we as a nation will salute him. He as the leader will be saluting the nation back. Ma'am, as his daughter, your thoughts on that, on his thinking, and is his thinking influencing New India?
My thoughts, particularly for the young people, are that this should also, in its very symbolic meaning, be a reminder of what Netaji stood for. And I would hope that many of the young Indians today would also decide that in their own way, as far as each and everyone can, they will contribute to the well-being and the harmony of the country, because that is a task that will never be done and will always need the contribution of each and every single person.
Oh, absolutely. Men and women, shoulder to shoulder for India's independence. Do you see some of that happening? When Netaji in his times used to say that women will have as much role as men in India's freedom struggle, they will fight shoulder to shoulder, all responsibilities they will shoulder. Is some of that now happening with women now becoming fighter pilots and having a role for example, in the latest aircraft carrier, there's a separate section, women officers will be on board. Are Netaji's dreams being realized somewhat?
I think not only in India, but throughout the world, there has been an improvement in the recognition of the role of women. And we have made some headway in emancipation and equal rights. But that is another issue which will never be done. It is a slow process, but I would certainly hope that India will be one of the countries which will continue to make great efforts in that direction, because I think there's a great potential in Indians as a whole, but also especially in Indian women. Netaji used to say, if you educate a man, you educate one person. If you educate a woman, you educate a whole family. So I think the role of women will continue to be an important one. And I should hope that the society as a whole will recognize that it will be to the good of all.
Rajpath being rechristened Kartavya Path, is that happening at the right time? Should it have happened earlier? Is this just getting rid of the relics of the Raj, or is this actually reminding the nation that while you have your rights, equally important, you have your responsibilities and your duties to the nation?
I mean, as time goes by, one always sort of renews things and gets new ideas. New Delhi certainly had a certain charm as a city, but of course, things cannot always stay to be the same, and it is an important thing also to move ahead. Of course, I've only seen pictures, and that doesn't give the full impression, but I hope during my next visit to India, I will walk across that whole area and see how the changes are in close up.
For joining me here on this India Today special broadcast, ma'am, many thanks. And I sincerely hope we're able to meet and I'm able to interview you when you are in India next. And
I hope so too.
Where Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's statue is, it would be such an honor and a privilege.
And Jai Hind to all of you.
Jai Hind, ma'am. Jai Hind. I now want to throw this open to widen the scope of this discussion. I have Neha Joshi of the Bharatiya Janata Party joining me on on the show, I also have with me our National Affairs editor, Rahul Srivastav. And Rahul, what do you make? I'll get Rahul Srivastav in just a moment. Neha, the opposition kept saying this is Modi's mahal that is being built. They kept saying, you're wasting time, you're wasting money, this money should have been used elsewhere. And only a name has been changed. Respond to that instead of doing real work, all they're doing is cosmetic surgery.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for having me. You know, the Kartavya Path that Prime Minister Modi is going to dedicate to the nation today is part of the larger Central Vista project, which I believe serves the twin objectives of conserving our heritage, but also, you know, expanding the capacity of the physical infrastructure of the government, making it more efficient, more effective. And while the opposition has been going on and on about how this is a waste of money, and, you know, I do see how a section of entitled elite who still want to live in the remnants of the Raj may feel it that way. You know, these are people who have the access to, you know, travel to Italy and France and, you know, walk the boulevards, the clean and, you know, the green stretches, have access to all of those facilities. But the Kartavya Path that Prime Minister Modi dedicates to the nation today, it is a sign of reclaiming India's past glory. It is a sign of aspirational India. This is the India that, you know, that Prime Minister Modi is getting out of poverty. This is an India which is the 5th largest economy in the world. They deserve this. I think, you know, you were asking Ms. Bose earlier that, you know, has the time for Central Vista come? I do believe that this is a time where India needs to reclaim its past. India needs to, you know, get out of the colonial hangover. And I think Prime Minister Modi, whether it's through, you know, his speeches on international stage, as well as, you know, his recent speech at the Red Fort on 15th of August, every step of the way, Prime Minister Modi has tried to instill this confidence in us Indians that we no longer need to cling to the colonial past. We can recreate things. We can actually come out and, you know, this may seem symbolic to people, but symbolism is important. This is the sign of new India. I think every youngster in the country...
Stay with me for a moment. Is this a sign of new India? Rahul Srivastav, our National Affairs editor, with me on this big story. Rahul, is this a sign of new India, or is there merit in the opposition saying, kuch naya to kiya nahi, bas cosmetic changes hai?
See, Gaurav, I think the Rajpath is not merely a road. It depicts the times we live in. It is a political road. When it says Raj, it means politics. Why was it built? It was built because in 1930s, the British thought that New Delhi is going to be the national capital of India.
Yeah.
So they were building the new capital of the Raj. And that is why the city came up. After that, this city, for example, Delhi, where we live in, has got 7 cities of Delhi.
Absolutely.
Every emperor, every ruler has left a mark. Why are half the buildings in this city named after the Gandhis and the Nehrus? Because rulers want to leave a mark. So by that prism and perspective, it depends on which side you said. I was 2 years old when I moved as a young boy in this area. And this was my football field. The water moats, canals were my swimming pool. And I have grown up here. I think it was in shambles. This area needed repair.
It was in a shambles.
It was in shambles. Gaurav, the moats were dirty, the canals were dirty, the rear sections of on the sides of the buildings were being used as parking lots and open toilets. I think it was in a terrible state. It needed certain amount of upgrading. You see those lamps, Gaurav.
Yeah.
Those lamps were put in the times of, I think, Lord Irwin or somebody.
You're
and
absolutely
Lady Irwin
right.
apparently brought it from Manchester. These were special lamps. Then at one time there used to be those demarcation with white pillars and heavy chains under them. They were all brought from Manchester. I think every place needs a certain amount of doing up. If you go today, I was equally critical because it was like my childhood backyard.
Yeah.
I was critical of what was happening, but I've been there. I think it looks very good now.
It looks very
my
good.
Problem is,
Okay.
My problem is that if you recall in 1971 war, India Gate became the memorial.
Yes.
And after that, that zone became slightly far from public. Then in 1993, Mr. Narasimha Rao decided that India Gate is boat club, if you recall, is not going to be the protest site.
Because so many protests used to be held. Mahendra Singh
happening and
massive
Narasimha Rao
protest.
was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was called the Resistance Square of India.
Yeah.
Now, will it go further from the public and the people of this country? Heritage, fine. Maintaining it well is fine. Will it go otherwise? I think it looks good. People should
That's
go
a very
there.
pertinent point that Rahul Srivastava is raising, and in fact in his question there is also the answer which we will give you in the days and weeks ahead. Is it going away from the people at least some bit? We'll talk about that in greater detail. But the fact that are we now recognizing the heroes of India's independence struggle, and a lot more of them? Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, for example. His daughter was so proud that he was fighting against King George V or the empire, the Raj, and King George's statue went in 1968, and in 2022 you have the statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose coming up. We bring you this report.
Where once stood the statue of King George V will now be the statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Netaji fought against the rule of King George V, and today, fittingly, his statue will stand tall in the place where once stood the statue of the British Emperor. It was in January this year that Prime Minister Modi unveiled the hologram of Netaji Bose at India Gate. On the occasion of Parakram Divas, Prime Minister Modi had reiterated his resolve to give our freedom fighters their due.
नेताजी कहते थे, कभी भी स्वतंत्र भारत के सपने का विश्वास मत खोना। दुनिया की कोई ताकत नहीं है जो भारत को झकझोर सके। मुझे विश्वास है कि हम मिलकर भारत को नेताजी सुभाष के सपनों का भारत बनाने में सफल होंगे।
Today, Prime Minister Modi's dream of a Netaji statue in the heart of the national capital will be realized. A massive granite statue will now stand tall at India Gate. The statue is 28 feet tall and has been carved out of a monolithic granite stone. It weighs 65 megatons and will fittingly lead to the Rajpath, rechristened as the Kartavya Path. The statue has been carved by a Mysuru sculptor and will be based under the India Gate canopy. But this too has been steeped in criticism. Lyricist Javed Akhtar, during the release of the hologram, claimed the tribute wasn't befitting the freedom fighter, as he would be standing in the pose of a salute while traffic moved around the venue. Akhtar went on to opine that the statue should either be sitting or raising his fist. Netaji's daughter has also raised questions over the mega ceremony today, questioning why a significant date linked to Netaji wasn't chosen.
The whole event was organized at such short a notice that it was difficult for some people to go, and I decided I would only go if I could combine it with a meeting with the Prime Minister. And of course, as I feared, it was not possible to get an appointment at such short notice, and so I decided it wasn't really worthwhile to go just for the unveiling, because I had no idea. First of all, we only had a confirmation that the event was going to take place, when was it, on Friday or Saturday?
This statue is another attempt to shed India, and particularly Delhi's history, being dominated by British colonialism reminders. And no longer will tributes be given to British Raj, but to our true heroes. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let me now for a moment tell you more about this grand statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose that's actually been installed. It will be unveiled by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a while from now. There's a laser show, there's a drone show, but this statue is 28 feet tall. It weighs about 65 metric tons. What's extremely interesting is that 26,000 man-hours were spent in this artistic endeavor, gainfully utilized in this artistic endeavor. It's also been carved from one block of granite, a monolithic granite block. That's also a unique aspect about this. And again, it's a privilege. I'm being joined on this show, on this special broadcast, by Chandra Bose from Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's family. Sir, welcome on the show. Your thoughts today on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, his statue being installed under that canopy, where till 1968, for some reason, we still had a statue of King George V.
Yes, it's an historic moment, no doubt. Since 1968, this canopy which housed King George V was removed, and then, of course, many names did come up that their statue would be installed. But it seems something prevented any other statue to be installed in this very strategic location overlooking the India Gate in this canopy. Finally, the NDA government, under the leadership of Narendra Modi ji, has taken a decision that it would be the liberator of India, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, who fought the final battle for India's freedom. His statue would adorn the canopy overlooking the India Gate. We are extremely happy with this decision. This movement to install Netaji's statue has been going on for quite a few years. Not only members of the Bose family, people, the common people, did signature campaign. Yes. INA veterans, Indian Army veterans, they also appealed to the Honorable Prime Minister to install this statue. And I think we must congratulate the government and Narendra Modi ji for taking a personal interest and initiative to install the statue. But
stay with
at the
me for a
same
moment.
time, I would like to add, why this hurried?
Okay, stay with me for a moment
Why
on this aspect. On this aspect that you raise about why two points. Rahul Srivastav, 2 points. One, why was King George V, his statue still there till 1968? Rahul, that's point one, and point two, why was it empty after that?
See, Gaurav, I think it's a travesty that statue stood, because what it symbolized, see, it is 150 meters east of India Gate.
Yes.
At the center of the sea hexagon in that area. Now, why was it put up there? It was put up because King George V died in 1936. So the British at that time thought that his statue, since he was the man who declared New Delhi is going to be the capital of India,
That's
of British
right.
India, it should be installed there. Now, it was unveiled in 1939.
Correct.
In his, what is called, in his coronation robes with the imperial state crown, Gaurav. Now, I think after 1947, 15th August, it should have been an eyesore for India.
Yes.
It was in 1968, eventually, after Nehru passed away, coincidentally, that it was taken to the Coronation Park. Now, Coronation Park is a suitable place for King George V, because that's the place where the first Delhi Darbar, the second and the third Delhi Darbar took place.
Yeah.
Queen Victoria was declared as the Queen of England and Ireland and India. That's the very place. So it was a suitable place. But then, who should be placed there? Now, in the Congress regime, they always wondered who should be there, because always at the back of the mind that it could well be Jawaharlal Nehru or somebody. But then it came down to Mahatma Gandhi also. But Mahatma Gandhi has a statue inside Parliament as soon as you enter at one time.
Yes.
And there was a debate that why should he be placed there under that canopy. Now, I think that dilemma has been resolved. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is a very interesting choice. The man who challenged the British Empire with might and
With
force
militarily,
of a soldier.
absolutely shed blood. So many
Gaurav,
Indians shed blood.
What a wonderful coming together of Make in India.
Yes.
You see, this pavilion under which the statue has been placed was designed by Edwin Lutyens, but it was based on the 6th century pavilion in Mahabalipuram.
Yes.
Now the stone for this, the monolith which you're saying, has come from Telangana, from a place in Khammam. And the design has been done by Mysore-based Arun Yogiraj. It's
Brilliant.
a blend of India.
Absolutely. And Chandra Kumar Bose, sir, before we take a quick break, I want to understand from you, is New India actually understanding finally the contribution of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and the Azad Hind Fauj in India's independence struggle, sir?
Yeah, let me put it in the right perspective. You see, from 1857, with the Sepoy uprising of Mangal Pandey, according to me, that was the beginning of the freedom struggle. Then there were revolutionaries like Shahid Bhagat Singh, Khudiram Bose, Binoy Badol Dinesh, who sacrificed their lives by going to the gallows for India's freedom. We had Mahatma Gandhi's non-violent movement, which had its own impact. But the final onslaught on British imperialism was none other than the battle of the Indian National Army under leadership of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. These are written in British intelligence archives, which have been declassified since. So there is no shadow of doubt that this man, under his leadership, the final war for India's independence was fought. So it is certainly deserving that he stands tall at India Gate. But I would also like to raise another question. You see, to really honor Subhash Chandra Bose, it is all right, symbolism about his unveiling his statue, setting up a museum, but you really need to follow his ideology. What is Subhash Chandra Bose's ideology? What did the man stand for? Subhash Bose was the only leader who could unite all communities as Bharatiyas. I think this is extremely relevant in 21st century India.
That's a very important point you make, sir. The teachings of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Absolutely. I need to slip into a quick break here. You're absolutely right, and I will come back to you for more on this story. The countdown, 1 hour, 13 minutes and 14 seconds to go for the grand unveiling. Is this now India reclaiming every bit of what we are extremely clear is the new India? We will continue to track developments on the story very, very closely. A quick break. Back with the headlines and our top stories. Stay with us here on India Today.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
Apple's Far Out event had the company really reaching far out into the sky. The iPhone 14 adds an incredible new technology to its armory. For the first time ever, your iPhone 14 can reach out and connect to a satellite in case of an emergency, in case you're out of the cellular coverage area. All you have to do is point the phone towards the satellite, answer a few basic questions, and the phone will contact an emergency service. Also in the new iPhone, a new crash detection capability which informs emergency services in case you've had a car crash. The third big change, available only in the more high-end Pro models, the much-hated camera notch has smartly been turned into a notification center. The other big features in the Pro model, a 48-megapixel back camera and an always-on display. Importantly, the new iPhone for the first time will be available in India on 16th September, the same day as the US. Prices in India for the iPhone 14 start at around 80,000 rupees. The 14 Plus model will be available from 90,000 rupees. The Pro models start at 1,30,000 and go up to 1,90,000. The iPhone 13 prices have been reduced to 70,000 rupees, while the iPhone 12 will start at 60,000 rupees.
These new iPhones are truly the most advanced iPhones we've ever created. And we're so proud of them. We want to tell the world about them.
The other big unveil was of the rugged Apple Watch Ultra. Meant for extreme outdoor sports, exploration, and deep-sea diving, the watch comes with an extra action button, double speakers for higher audio output, double frequency GPS, and battery life extendable to 60 hours. The watch lineup is supplemented with an all-new Apple Watch Series 8 with a new temperature sensor, ovulation detector, crash detection, and international roaming. A cheaper SE variant is available as well.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
You're in for a treat on a dreamlike flight to India's new seat of power. Sprawling landscapes, lush green lawns, red granite walkways, blue water canals, wide underpasses, exhibition panels, upgraded lighting. A grand project of the Modi government, a key part of the new Central Vista is set for a grand opening. Kartavya Path, formerly Rajpath, the stretch for the annual Republic Day parade, is set for inauguration by the Prime Minister at 7 p.m. on Thursday. Prime Minister Modi will also unveil a 28-foot granite statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Kartavya Path will be open till 11 p.m. for now. Starting Friday, DMCRC buses will run pick-up and drop facilities for 15 days as a pilot project.
अब देश बड़े संकल्प लेकर के ही चलेगा। किसी भी कोने में हमारे मन के भीतर, हमारे आदतों के भीतर गुलामी का एक भी अंश अगर भी अभी भी है तो उसको किसी भी हालत में बचने नहीं देना।
In line with the resolve, the brand new site takes the legacy of the British Raj off its pedestal for good. And so will the new look Central Vista in its entirety. The project houses India's new triangular-shaped parliament sitting next to its predecessor. Completed in 1927, the heritage building was designed by British architects Sir Edwin Lutyens and Herbert Baker, with horseshoe-shaped Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. The new parliament will also have a large constitutional hall and a much larger seating capacity for both houses. Welcome to New India, with the idea of Indianness by Indians taking a giant leap forward. Bureau Report, India Today.